Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister Annie Bell. And you're listening to it on the WIN Network. Yes, that's right, WIN Network. Together, we win. Stay tuned. Hand it down, praise, to let it out, shackles, chains. The hurt, the guilt, the stain. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than a victim. I find I win. The chains are broken. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together.
Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. Again, I am Minister Annie Bell, the host and creator of R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show, which is an outreach of Wealth Management Ministries Incorporated. We are endeavoring to bring talk therapy to survivors of child abuse, sex trafficking, and other traumas, as well as providing awareness and resources to the community at large to prevent such atrocities. So, tonight we are talking about the Backpage and Craigslist's murders. A common thread that runs through all survivors is the time when we have to decide who to trust to tell about the crimes that are or were being committed against us. Many child abuse victims, domestic violence victims, sex trafficking victims remain quiet because they have witnessed firsthand that just because one is wearing or in a particular position to take care of us does not actually equate to them doing so. This is true to even to those who are sworn to protect and serve our police officers. Tonight, we will be speaking with the mother of a murdered victim, Vernicia Woodard, who died at the hands of a police officer. Here to tell the story is Miss Deirdra Belton. Please help me give a thunderous and warm welcome to Miss Belton to the show. Welcome to the show, Miss Belton.
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you for being. I am good. I am so honored, first of all, because I know that after the movie premiere of Black Girls Die Too, that you have given us an exclusive on the story. I know this is a very heartfelt, touching story for you. I'm sure, still very sensitive, and so please understand. We understand that. And if you need to cry, get a box of tissue, let's do it. And let's work through some of these feelings so that you can be there not only for the rest of us who are walking through some tragedy in our lives, but also so that you can be there for Vernicia's little girl. So let's get started. I am very interested in wanting to know about Vernicia. What was she like growing up as a child?
Well, Vernicia was, first of all, very smart, as her daughter is now today. And she was, I used to call her my prima donna because she always wanted to be dressed all pretty and dolled up like a little pretty little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Basically, um, she was fun, exciting, and loving, and just heartfelt. You just to know her was to love her. She was a
Mhm.
caring friend to everyone she came across, and she has long-term friendships that took a hit as well as the family.
I'm
And
sure.
she's she's still here with us in our hearts because she's so loving.
Amen. And that's just the definition of a legacy that we live. Excuse me. We leave those things that are eternal. You know, and not is and a lot of times it's not things. It's those things that are not tangible. What were some of her aspirations in life? What did she, as a in high school or in middle school, what did she talk about wanting to be when she grew up?
She wanted to be in music.
Oh,
She
really?
wanted to
Did she
do
sing?
rapping. She sung.
Wow.
She sung real
Mhm.
good, and she wanted to do rapping and poetry and stuff. But most of
Wow.
all, she wanted to sing. She really
Mhm.
wanted to sing.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. Does her daughter sing too?
Yeah, her daughter sings, and she
Wow.
thinks she's the next Nina Simone.
All right now. All right. Well, we'll have to definitely stay in touch. I know my husband, he has a radio show where it's called Real Music, and he tries to help a lot of the people in the community who have gifts and talent that are not traditional. When I say traditional, I mean in the math or um, engineering, accounting, law, those who have untraditional gifts, to try to help pull them out so we can stay connected and possibly help her to get to her dreams. Well, let's talk about you know her being such a having the aspirations to do so much. What led her to place ads for sex on I know it was on Craigslist, and not Backpage, but uh, to me they're all the same. It's just a newspaper, that where that can be put on. But what led her to that point in her life to begin selling herself and advertising?
Well, um, from the little conversations that we did have in regards to it, I
Mhm.
find that it mostly came from the fact that she got tired of working for minimum wage. She
Mhm.
wanted to make more money. She wanted to do it fast. And she didn't see any other way than making money to take care of her and her daughter. And
Mhm.
then the guy she was with, he was not very supportive financially. So she figured she needed to do what she needed to do to take care of her and her
Mhm.
baby.
Mhm. So the man that she was with at the time was not the father of her child.
No.
Mhm. And there's so many that turn to this lifestyle or this career because there is a lot of money to be made, but it's such an expensive, high cost. Um, to have to sell your own body for someone else's pleasure. So I'm sure getting to that point where she is thinking that she had to do that just for basic survival needs, I'm sure she must have been in a pretty bad situation to have led her to that. Did she ever talk to you about what she went through during those days, um, when she was, I guess, prostituting? Um, did she tell you anything about how hard it was doing that sort of work?
She never really talked about it much to me
Mhm.
because she know I didn't approve of it. But
Mhm.
A few times she said that it was the only way she felt that she could make money, and she might as well make it the best way she could. She said she had it, she might as well flaunt it.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was her theory
Yeah.
and thinking.
And for the audience, I did want to say that finances or money is really such a huge part, plays such a huge part in our lives, and especially when it comes to the exploitation um, and the sex industry. The reasons why people go into it. There is obviously a demand. There's a demand out there, a large group of people who want to buy sex and so that they can live out their perversions. And because that demand is so high, that it places a high price tag on those who are able to fulfill that perversion. And again, it's not a glamorous lifestyle. A um, it's not something where you can, you know, retire off of and have all this money, because what ends up happening is it just aids in whatever it is that that person is doing and trying to, whether it's pay off school or whatever have you. But that lifestyle never is ever completely taken away. It's in your memory, it's in your body. And so for those who are thinking about trying to do and going to this type of lifestyle, we would say think again. It ages you quickly. I mean, quicker than you will ever know. And I'm not saying this was Vernicia's case, but for many, drugs and alcohol is intertwined in that lifestyle so heavily, because again, the woman or the person, excuse me, because there are males who do that as well, go into prostitution as well. But the memories and the thought and having to do that day in and day out, and I'm not just talking 1 or 2 times a day, but we're talking anywhere from 10 to 15 times a day, every day, having to sell your body. It begins to wreak havoc on the emotion and on them mentally as well as physically. So it's not a glamorous career to go into. I know TV makes it look so glamorous as they're dancing or out there doing what they're doing and wearing what they're wearing. But again, want to be very careful before getting into that type of lifestyle. Another thing that I wanted to make mention is that when we talk about sex trafficking, a lot of the times we speak about the trafficker not just being a person, but also being poverty. And that's where I'm saying that money plays such a heavy role in the exploitation of women and children. Especially, I know there are males out there that are exploited, but the majority are the women and children. So poverty plays a role as a trafficker as well. Bernicia, she felt that she needed to utilize her body to make ends meet and take care of her and her family, her child. And so in essence, it became a trafficker to her. Well, we have reached the first quarter hour of our full hour. So if you'll everyone just stay tuned. We're just going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Mrs. Belton. Thank you so much.
We inspire network. We is not your ordinary radio station. The home of true inspiration. We inspire network. We is not your ordinary radio station. The home of true inspiration. We inspire network. 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 We is not your ordinary radio station. The home of true inspiration. We inspire network. We is not your ordinary radio station. The home of true inspiration. We inspire network. We inspire network. We inspire network.
Have you priced commercials lately? Advertising can truly break your budget. At R.E.I.G.N, we eliminate the most common hurdle to advertising. Advertise with R.E.I.G.N to reach potential customers locally, nationally, and internationally for as low as $150. Yes, that's right, $150 per commercial. We Inspire Network Radio is a new and rapidly growing online radio network that boasts of dynamic seasoned show hosts who are drawing audiences from across the nation and abroad. Africa, Australia, Scotland, Canada, just to name a few. We also have the technical capabilities to advertise your products and services through sound bites, slideshows, and more. No long-term contracts. You pay per show. Advertise on R.E.I.G.N, and you are sure to be a winner. For more information, call us 201-477-0469. Email Annie Bell at wealthmanagement-fs.org.
Welcome back to R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister Annie Bell.
Hello, welcome back to R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show. We are powered through We Inspire Network Radio, as we like to call it, WIN Radio, and I am your host, Minister Annie Bell. Now, if you're interested in sponsoring a show or advertising on our panel of shows, please contact our marketing department at 201-477-0469. Now we are back with Mrs. Belton, who is the mother of the murdered victim, Bernicia Woodard. Thank you so much again, Mrs. Belton, for coming back on and staying with us through the commercial.
Okay.
Now, what we were kind of talking about was what led her to begin to, even place the ad or even thinking about selling her body. And I know that there was some childhood trauma that had occurred to her. Can you share a little bit about that?
Okay, when she was around age 10, she was on her way home from school, and she was attacked by an adult man that raped her, and it caused her to feel some kind of way about her self-esteem. And then she had another incident while she was in foster care where she was gang raped by a group of guys, and when she went to the person that was supposed to have been protecting her, the foster mother, nobody believed her story, and they blamed her. If it did happen, they blamed her for it, and it made her feel like she didn't have no protection, and she felt betrayed, myself included, because if it wasn't for my behavior, she wouldn't have been in foster care to begin with. So she really was angry with a lot. She was angry with the world, and there were a few times where she and I had talked, where she called me crying and wanting help because she felt like she needed help and she couldn't take no more. And whereas when I stepped in and helped her with my granddaughter, which is all I could do at the time because I wasn't financially able to help her otherwise, but at the same time, she would get in the urge where she knows she needed the help as far as mental state go, but she wouldn't go out and get the help. She felt like nobody was there for her, and she just felt betrayed by her family and some friends, for that matter.
Mhm. And so, and I'm gonna tell you, when there is unhealed wounds, or there, especially from childhood, the coping mechanisms that we have, and I like to call them survival responses, is to again try to get through that trauma, but then they're trying to understand what just happened, the breach that occurred with their area of understanding, to say, wait a minute, this was not supposed to happen to me. And so we have the first two, uh, I guess, examples in her life where someone who was supposed to, be responsible for her took advantage of her. The adult, even though she may not have known the adult, or was not a family member, as adults, when children look to adults, all adults, to be caring and giving people, not takers, and not those who will definitely hurt. So the breach occurred when she was 10, and then again when she was gang raped later on in her life. And what that did was kind of set a stage for her and what her body actually means. And so I think what you said earlier was very profound, when she had said that, hey, I mean, I have it, so I might as well flaunt it. That is what she has been taught through those experiences of being raped, and that her body was monetarily valuable, even though we know that it's valuable not just with making money. Our bodies are valuable, period, because we are vessels of God. So I am so glad that you brought that out and talked about the pains of her past, and I know you must have felt heartbroken that you were in whatever position you were in, to that she was taken away and put in foster care. And I'm sure that you look back and wish that you could have changed some things. And but I do want to say that you have to forgive yourself, because I feel like there's some areas that you have not forgiven yourself for. Am I right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot.
Yeah. And my heart goes out to you. No, we're not perfect. As parents, I know we try to be perfect, but Lord knows the enemy of our soul is out there doing his thing. And so, but one of the first things that I want to share with you is that in order for you to be able to help someone, you're going to have to forgive yourself. Yes, there may have been a whole bunch of stuff that you could have done differently, that maybe would have brought about a different uh, future. Okay, but there's nothing that you can do to change that. All you can do is be a better person today, tomorrow, next week, and next year, right? And in order for you to move forward, though, you have to forgive yourself and forgive others who may have played a part in that as well, so that you're able. And forgiving yourself is not, or in forgiving others is not so much as letting yourself off the line, or giving yourself a reprieve, but it is saying that um, that you understand what you did and what you could have done better, and that you are going to do better with what you know now. And so I know it's sometimes very hard, but you have to get to that point where you can forgive yourself. Otherwise, that unforgiveness will be a chain around your neck and will continue to choke and choke and choke. And I don't know if you've seen some of those dogs where they have, instead of a collar, they have a choker. And because when they go walk too far, the owner is able to pull them back by almost choking them. Well, that unforgiveness is the owner. and every time you get too far in your healing, it could try to pull you back and choke you. Well, you have to forgive so that it no longer gives any strength and power to unforgiveness, so that you're able to walk in the liberty that God has set you free. And God has, if you haven't already repent to the Lord. He's going to be sure to forgive you. But if you have asked for forgiveness, then He is sure to forgive. That's His word. He promises to forget all the things that have been done, that you have done. And so if He has forgiven and He sits on high, certainly you can forgive yourself. So I want to make sure I said that to you, because like I said, I can feel some of the unforgiveness that's in your, in your spirit. Now, I want to ask you if you can, and I know that this part may be hard, but if you can walk us through the events that led up to the night of her death. Who killed her? How did he do it? So if you don't mind telling us that.
Sure. Well, basically, the morning that the day of her murder, I had spoken with her that morning, and she was to go to the bank for me to put some money in my account to handle something I had to handle. And upon doing so, I waited and waited, and when I didn't hear anything back from her, I knew something was wrong. It was like a gut instinct, something was wrong that particular day. And I kept calling, and then I knew I couldn't do anything that day as far as the police were involved. So the next day, I took it upon myself to go and look for her around the area that I knew her to be in. And when I did that, I didn't get nowhere. So I then went and filed a police missing person report. And it was that Monday, I got a phone call telling me that she was murdered. But they didn't tell me over the phone. They came to my house, and it was like living an episode of First 48. And when I was told when I found out who killed her, it really destroyed me, because it was a cop. Because I know from talking to her that she never would do any business. If she knew a guy was a cop, she wouldn't. If she suspected he was a cop, she wouldn't even take him on as a client.
Right.
So that kind of really baffled me for that situation to be about. But then they wouldn't tell me at first how she got murdered or how she was killed. They kept telling me it was best I didn't know. But after pushing and pushing, I found out that she had been shot several times in the head, and that she had been set on fire in a empty vacant lot over near the airport in Hapeville. And after going to court and seeing all the pictures and the gunshot wounds, and then at the premiere to see, I don't know, I think there was other pictures on the flash drive, because when I saw the pictures at the movie, it was like, that's when it finally hit me that my daughter was actually gone. And that I'm going to have to stand up and face the music and accept she's gone. And that took a toll on me more than I ever expected. And it's like I was tired of crying. I didn't want to cry anymore, because I can't cry, because I can't let the baby see me cry. But at the same time, it hurts deeply to know that my child had to subject herself to such a lifestyle.
Yes.
Because the men that we trust and believe in that's going to protect us are not there to protect us or stand up for us the way that they need to be. And that hurts a great deal, especially a man of authority that, if anything, should have been willing to love my daughter and show her and treat her like the Nubian goddess that she was. and it just destroys me inside every day, all day, to the point where I'm just barely, barely hanging on. And it's my granddaughter that keeps me pushing harder and harder to just go on throughout the day because I know I got to be there for her.
Yes. Yes. You know, we are at the half hour, and I do have to take another quick break. And when we come back, though, I want to talk a little bit more about what you're going through and the grieving. So everybody, please, again, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message.
Sadly, today, most of us know at least one person that suffers from addiction or substance abuse. Addiction does not discriminate. No age, gender, race, or classes of people are immune to the horrors of addiction. This epidemic has ruined families, claimed lives, and left loved ones devastated. Over 100 people die from overdoses daily, and over 20 million Americans suffer from some form of addiction. For this reason, author Lloyd H. Bell Jr. has written the book Clean and Serene. The author is an addictions counselor and recovering addict of over 13 years. He knows and has first-hand experience of being caught in the grips of addiction. Clean and Serene provides experience, strength, and hope for the still suffering addict. It can also be used as a tool in recovery. Whether it is used in a group setting or individually, this book was written to assist in the recovery process and encourage. Integrating inspirational, encouraging, and challenging scriptures, the author has provided a resource that is sure to change lives. If you or someone you know is battling with addiction, this book is for you. If you are in recovery, this is a great resource to add to your toolbox. If you are a group leader or addictions counselor, this is an awesome book for group therapy. Clean and Serene. Scriptural Meditations for Recovery is available nationwide in both ebook and print. Get your copy or a copy for some you know today from Amazon or Barnes & Noble bookstore. For less than $10, you can potentially change the life of someone currently paying the high cost of living with an addiction.
Welcome back to R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister Annie Bell.
Yes, again, thank you so much for staying put. This is the R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show, and I am Minister Annie Bell. I wanted to make sure that we offer this trigger warning today. We are talking about some very sensitive matters, and for those who have experienced and survived or witnessed, it could trigger a memory. And so wanted to make sure that gave you some hotline numbers. So if you'll get your pen and paper ready, if you are caught in sex trafficking, or if you see something that looks like it, call 1-888-373-7888. Child abuse, 1-800-4A-CHILD, and that's 1-800-422-4453. For sexual assault, 1-800-656-4673. Domestic violence, 1-800-787-3224. Now, you don't have to be an expert at it. If you see something that doesn't look quite right, call the hotlines, one of the hotlines that I have given you. Let the experienced do the research and make sure. You just call in and let us know. But those who are, if this has been a trigger for you and you need to talk to someone, please call our recovery team, 201-477-0469. We'll be sure to pray with you or move you into the, kind of point you in the right direction to get the healing that you need. Again, I am here with Mrs. Belton, who is the mother of the murdered victim, Bernicia Woodard. Thank you so much for staying with us, Mrs. Belton.
Okay.
Now, I know that was a very tense moment, very sad moment, having to replay and tell us the details of your daughter's death. And you were saying that you, it just hit you looking at the pictures, that your daughter is gone. Is that right?
Yes.
Mhm. And I want to say, one thing, that this is your grieving process. Everybody grieves different. Everybody has their own uh, grieving system, process. And so it's all right that you still feel the pain that you do, for your daughter. I mean, because there's so many layers of trauma for you. Not only did she die, but she died a gruesome death, um, by the hands of someone that was supposed to save her, keep her safe. And so there's so many layers. So, you might uh, grieve and finish grieving one thing, but then it might take you back to the grieving process, because now you have to grieve the next thing, and the next thing, until it is done. And although, of course, we don't want you to spend your whole day, every day, crying, but if you need to cry to let it out, then I would say that that would be a healthy outlet. There's no time limit to say how long the grieving process takes place, but I think that when you begin to allow positive grieving to happen, your body will naturally take you through the process, so that you can then be on the other side of grieving. The reason why that's so important, and I wanted to walk you through that, is because your granddaughter needs to see that grieving process fulfilled, completed. And because she's still probably grieving, she's still trying to navigate through losing a mother. And so when she sees an adult emulate that, then she too can emulate it. Then she can say, after I have cried, after I have grieved and gone through all of the whole grieving process, then I too will be all right. And so, and maybe there could be something healthy that you and her can do together in memory of her mother, to even as a memorial, or something that y'all can do together. Maybe it's on every year on her mother's birthday. Y'all do the things that that Bernicia would normally do on her birthday, or something that Bernicia loves to do, and y'all can do that on her birthday as a way to celebrate her life. But those are the kind of things that we could do here on Earth to help cope with the loss. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about the officer. Was he ever brought to justice?
Yes, he was brought to justice. He actually got life with no parole and some additional years added.
Mm-hmm.
I can never keep count of how many it was, but he did get life with no parole.
How long did the court last? How long did it last, the trial?
The trial lasted a little short of a week, I think it was.
Okay. So, was the jury pretty much? Was it was it hard for them to come to the? I guess their agreement on whether he's guilty. Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think it was hard for them to come to an agreement on his guilt at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad that they saw through the image he was trying to portray, that my daughter was actually trying to attack him and he was defending himself. I was so glad when they saw through that, because I know my daughter, and if she had a gun, she would not have been banging on a glass window, trying to get out of a vehicle. She would have used the gun, if anything.
Because he held her captive in the car.
He had her captive in the car with him.
Wow. And I was also reading that the prosecution did a really good job of making sure that they brought out the fact that the wounds that he had were wounds of someone trying to defend themselves, as well as the wounds that she had. It wasn't the wounds where she was trying to steal money from him, and he was the victim. So because he tried to make it look like he was the victim, right?
Yes, he tried very hard to make it look like he was the victim. But then he gave himself away because he went about his day like nothing. And I personally think it was premeditated because it was brought to my attention that he purchased gas before he actually picked my daughter up. So it was like he knew what he was going to do, and then he went back to the house for the gas, is what he's telling everybody that he did. But in actuality, I believe he had the gas in the car all along.
I see, because he was saying, because that's the gas he used to help torch her
Set
body.
her on fire.
So gruesome. And he did that in hopes of
covering up the crime.
Yes, burning up any evidence against him. And so I was also reading somewhere that he had a video or pictures.
He had a video.
What was the video?
The video was of her performing oral sex, but he showed that around like he was proud of it.
Wow. And again, the part that is so off-putting is that he is an officer of the law. Not only did he do an act that is unlawful, but then he paraded around. He had a video, and so it just makes you wonder about him mentally, because who would do that? Who would do such a thing? I can't make sense of it. And then to go around showing the video, and as a police officer, doesn't he know that that's incriminating? I mean, that's evidence. So did they show the video on during trial?
Yes, they showed the video.
Wow. Unreal. Life sentence plus, I believe it was like 16 years. I think, justice was served. And I know it doesn't bring her back. But it definitely, to know that justice was served, and with so many lives where justice isn't served, in a time where so many lives, are taken by the hands of a police officer, I am glad to know that her life, that situation was it was brought to justice. So I am thankful for that, and say that the judicial system did a good job this time around. So applause for them. Now, and we talked a little bit about how her death has impacted you. Could you speak more about what your day-to-day looks like, and even for her daughter?
Well, for her daughter, what I do is I'm trying to keep her in counseling. I'm also trying to keep her busy with different activities. And she has a tendency to act out. I don't know if it's because of the grieving or she just going through a phase in her life. But right now, I just try to keep her occupied. They have something called Kate's Club that she goes to once a month, where she's able to let out whatever she's feeling. And it's okay because of the fact she's not the only one that's lost a loved one. So she have other people there that have gone through the same experience. and she can vent with them and talk to them and feel comfortable and safe.
Good.
And I also reassure her that I'm here anytime she wants to talk about mommy, or she just wants to talk in general about something that might be going on with her feelings at the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
But basically, we try to we've decided that every year what we're going to do is for her mom's birthday we're going to do a cake and release balloons in remembrance of her mom.
That's
So
wonderful.
that's one thing that we do to keep ourselves sane.
Mhm. That is wonderful. I love that idea. It's so empowering and festive and sentimental. So I think that is just wonderful. Now, what about you? What are you doing? How did her death impact you, and what are you doing to continue moving forward?
Well, I'm in bereavement counseling. I'm in one-on-one counseling. I'm about to start another counseling for trauma
Mhm.
to help me cope because I too was a victim of sexual abuse as a child, and
Wow.
that's why it was easy for me to relate to my daughter when she was going through what she started finally opening up about later on in life. And as an adult, and I kept pushing her and pushing her, don't do like I did and wait too long.
That's right.
So I'm in counseling for the trauma of everything that's been happening in my life. So
Mhm.
I have to keep on board and stay strong. I go to church on the regular. I keep God first and foremost in my life,
Amen.
and I keep
Amen.
her busy in the choir and
Mhm.
stuff that she does with at the church.
That's great. I mean, it sounds like you have a wonderful plan together, and that you're working it. I think one of the biggest things is that you keep God first, because He's the one that's going to take you to the complete level of healing, and then you're allowing those people who are experts in helping people to recover and to heal as well. Uh, so those counseling sessions, wonderful. I am so glad to hear that you are taking care of those areas for you and your granddaughter. So I applaud you, and I think that is wonderful. I just give you great applause for that, because there are so many people who kind of think that counseling is not needed, but it is. And the fact that the other thing I want to applaud you about is you recognize, because of what you went through, your rape, your child molestation, that so you believed your daughter, because there are so many women and men, parents who don't believe, even after they've gone through it, because there's some denial there. But for you to believe your daughter, and even if you didn't know which way to go, the fact that you believed her is like 50% of helping her get resolution. So I applaud you for that. I have to take one last break before we end our show. So everybody, please stay put. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. My name is Minister Annie Bell, and I am the host of R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show, where we endeavor to bring talk therapy to survivors of child abuse, sex trafficking, and other traumas, as well as being the vehicle by which we use to bring awareness and resources to the community to aid in the prevention of these abuses. R.E.I.G.N, which is a declarative acronym for the individual survivor, that means I identify myself as a survivor, no longer a victim. R, reclaim my life. E, excel at living. I, illuminate the dark. G, grow in Christ. And N, nurture myself and others. This declarative acronym has developed into a victorious lifestyle brand that empowers and aids in the healing journey of our survivors of abuse, sex trafficking, and other traumas. I have also written a book entitled with the namesake, R.E.I.G.N, A Survivor's Guide to Thrive, which is now available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Pick up your copy today and join me every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. here on We Inspire Network Radio, where together, through God, we win. If we endure, we shall reign with Him.
Welcome back to R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show with your host, Minister Annie Bell.
Yes, welcome back to R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk Radio Show. I am Minister Annie Bell, and you are in the last quarter hour of our show. If you're just now joining us, feel free to go back and rewind and listen to it from the beginning. You will want to hear the entire show. As you know, R.E.I.G.N, we are an outreach of Wealth Management Ministries Incorporated, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are endeavoring to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor through teaching of financial literacy and Christian counseling. Now we are back with Mrs. Belton, the mother of the murdered victim, Bernicia Woodard. Welcome back, Mrs. Belton.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As we are wrapping up, I wanted to, as you heard her story, wanted to really run home today just how important it is for those of us who have been abused as children, that we must get resolution in order for us to live a life of thriving. Last week I did a whole show on the ACE, Adverse Childhood Experience, so that you could learn and understand how negatively child abuse is impactful to the survivor as an adult. The medical problems, the emotional, mental, and even the propensity towards decision making, risky lifestyle. So those are the things. It's so very important that we get resolution regarding the trauma that we have gone through as children. Also recognizing that child abuse and sex trafficking victims, they most likely will have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and also complex PTSD, which basically is for those who have been in sex trafficking or has been abused as a child for a long time, whether it's for years or it could even be anywhere from 9 months and more, because it brings on a different set of PTSD symptoms. So it is very, very important, and I just urge you to go and get help and to help bring some resolution to the trauma that you've gone through. Now, Ms. Belton, we only have a few more minutes left, and I just wanted to ask you, what words of wisdom or inspiration would you like to share to other mothers who may be going through the loss of their loved one through murder?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Basically, I like to say that always put God first and know that God is there for you when no one else is. And this too shall pass.
Amen.
It may be hard at first, but it will pass, and you will be able to cope with it. I'm not going to say you're going to get over it, but you will be able to cope with it.
Amen. Amen. And I do like that. This too shall pass, and we will never forget our loved ones. They're always in our hearts and always in our memories. And so it's not like we're doing an injustice to them, but the fact that the pain of it, the sting of it, will pass. And prayerfully, we will be able to meet those who we love back in when we get to heaven. Amen.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your granddaughter. What does she want to be when she grow up? I know you say she sings. What else what else does she want to do with her life?
According to her, she's going to be the first black African American female president of the United States. If Michelle Obama doesn't beat her to it.
Right.
But
right.
That's her goal, and she wants to go to Mary Bethune-Cookman College.
Amen.
So my focus is to make sure she stays on track with her schoolwork and keep up her good grades.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Like I said, I think you have all the ingredients in place. You have the systems in place to really have a good end, And of course, Jeremiah 29:11. God says that's what He has in mind, is a good end for all of us. And so it sounds like to me you're definitely putting in the work now to see the fruits of your labor later. So thank you so much. If you can, I know I met her at the premiere. Give her a big hug from me and my daughter, and a big hug to you as well. And you have my number, so please stay in touch. But if you need anything, let us know. But thank you again so very much for having the courage to come on the show. Thank you. Thank you for having me. You're very welcome. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a round of applause. We have reached our wisdom to reign. And my wisdom to reign to you today is follow the bend in the road until you can blaze your own trail. Sometimes it's not for us to continue following somebody else's footsteps, but we may have to just for a little while until you can go off on your own and pioneer your own trail. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us and staying with us. To make a donation or get in touch with me or my team, please go to www.wealthmngt.org or even AnnieBellMinistries.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at R.E.I.G.N, Stop Abuse and Abolish Sex Trafficking. Also go to our YouTube channel, R.E.I.G.N Blog Talk, and become a subscriber so that you won't miss any of our shows. We are reaching our finale date, which is April 4th. So please circle that date on your calendar. When we come back, we will have a brand new format. I'm really excited about our brand new format that we'll be bringing forth. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, so you'll be surprised. But anyway, everyone, repeat after me. I reclaim my life. I excel at living. I illuminate the dark. I grow in Christ, and I nurture myself and others. Let's reign together with Christ. I'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. God bless you.
The hurt, the guilt, the stain. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than a victim. I fight, I win. The chains are broken. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together. I reign, you reign, we reign, he reigns. I reign, we reign together, together. Together.